Welcome to the fifth session of the Gifts of Poets, a Sampler, sponsored by the Broome County Arts Council's Artisan Gallery in partnership with WordPlace at the Bundy Museum. This project will highlight several poets in the coming weeks in honor of April's Poetry Month. My name is Connie Barnes, manager of Artisan Gallery at the Broome County Arts Council, and with me is Jay Barrett Wolf, founder of WordPlace at the Bundy Museum. Brian Pregas from the Bundy Museum is also with us behind the scenes to record the sessions and produce the recordings. Our first poet tonight is Joshua H. Lewis. Joshua Lewis graduated from Binghamton University with his PhD in 2012, and he has taught at various colleges and universities such as SUNY Broome Community, Hartwick College, and SUNY Oneonta. He has had his poetry published in literary magazines such as the Patterson Literary Review and the Edison Literary Review. He has also set up poetry workshops and classes in the local area at venues such as the Broome County Arts Council. He wants to thank his family and friends for their continued love and support. Welcome, Joshua.
Thank you. And thank you for setting this up. I really look forward to sharing some of my poems with you tonight. And the first one that I want to share with you is entitled Things I'm No Longer Apologizing For. It is a poem that I worked on, well, I wanted to say in the midst of the pandemic, but honestly, I think we're still in the midst of the pandemic. So it's ongoing. But yeah, this is something I worked on a few months ago. And yeah, I think I'll just read it and you'll get a sense of what this poem is about. Things I'm no longer apologizing for. Being alive, wanting more, wanting less, having needs, valuing friendship, valuing silence, needing time, needing space, needing people in my life, life-affirming people, boundaries, sacred borders, love, my ability to change, to want change, my depression, my desire to avoid phonies, being real. So, thank you. And of course, yeah, I think the pandemic has not just been a time for me to reflect, but I think it's been a time for us all to reflect. In fact, for a lot of us, all we have at this point is time. And just to reflect on the way things are going. And that poem just, for me, encapsulates all of that and more. And of course, this next poem is called For an Impending Sun. And this poem works with a pun of sorts, because in one sense, I'm using sun as in what's in the sky right now. However, I'm also using it as S-O-N. My wife and I, we're expecting our first child in July. So thank you. And that's part of what I've been dealing with during the pandemic as well. And for all indications, our son is healthy at this point, even though he is still in the process of it's in gestation currently, but he seems to be doing well. So is the mother-to-be. And I'm really happy about all of that. And I'm also glad I still have my health as well, considering there's a lot of people who don't. And I'm very, very fortunate. So this is For an Impending Sun, and it's broken into two parts. 1, I've birded through life, unable to become a fixture in somebody else's house. I've twittered among the raindrops, took inventory of their sadness. I've careened north and south, west where the dying sun gives birth to night, that cornucopia of stars. I've circled around stopping, only to snatch the eastern wind. My body has grown sleek in its ability to repel clouds. My life up to this point, a progression towards a clearing marked by the feathers of another. 2, I wait for you beneath a sky crowing with life, You emerge from dawn crowned in soft, soft light, unable to dim your presence. My plumage gleams in the glow of your affection. Yeah. And of course, marked by the feathers of another, I'm thinking of my son. So, and this last poem that I have for tonight is a submission that I gave for the poetry project. And I think part of that project was to, if I remember the word, and I'm paraphrasing here, but was to bring out poems that would bring about the sense of renewal and hope and things in that order. And honestly, when I read it, I said, wow, this is a great project. I really want to submit to this because God knows we really need some of that renewal and hope, particularly in these times. Though, fortunately, with the way that the vaccine rollout is going now, that gives me more hope. And I'm in line to get my first shot this Friday. So, yep. So I'm looking forward to it. Well, as much as you could look forward to getting jabbed in the arm, but I think it's a small price to pay. Really is a small price. And this is entitled, A Letter Written to Me by the Night. Birch, give me morning, bloom like a song, evening thunder, whisper of summer, happy plants everywhere, harvest night, a journey into hot skin, live through green breathing, investigate the garden. People like weeds rise, houses bark at the moon, laugh, howl. Wild spring has come. All right. And once again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Joshua. What we usually do is I present a question or a thought and we talk a little bit for a few moments. And what came to mind is you're saying, you've got an amazing confluence of things happening to you. You're part of creating a new life in a world where people are fearful of dying for a more sort of literal and less sort of generic feeling than one has in the sort of, someday we'll die, just the knowledge of that as we get older. How has this impacted your vision when you're writing poetry? Has your voice changed over the course of this last year?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I would definitely say, and you put it very eloquently, there is a confluence of influences that are coming about right now. And probably not just for me, but for a lot of people as well.
Sure.
That last poem that I read, for instance, that's magnetic poetry. And for a while there, at the very beginning of the pandemic, when we went into lockdown, I think for a while there, I had hit impasse. I was like, wow, I don't know how to proceed. And then one day I noticed the magnets on the refrigerator and I started playing with the words. And before I knew it, I was doing that very regularly. There were some times where I created 3 or 4 poems like that a day. And I think it was very necessary for me because it helped me to get through that initial phase. Mm-hmm. And I think as time went on during the pandemic, I was also working on this one manuscript called No More Apologies, which things I know I'm no longer apologizing for as a part of.
Right.
Now, some of the other poems in that collection, I would say, are far more political, if you will, mm-hmm. than some of my other works. But in the kind of atmosphere we've been in, I think, at least for me, I think it was almost impossible not to respond, particularly after what happened on January 6th.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah, I mean, our voice is what we do, is what we add to the world as poets.
Yeah.
We must observe and report, mm-hmm. And the art is in how we fancy up that reporting to make it poetry.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's how I've noticed my voice changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that there's been a bit of a change again, where I won't say that my poetry before this point was more aesthetics based or language poetry, because I've never been completely in one particular camp.
Sure.
But I've noticed my poetry has become more playful again, but there's also points where I still like those couplets, those really short couplets that get you. For instance, I think there's one, if I could very quickly recall it, it's the job situation in America. And it goes something like this. The carrot has rotted off the line. No reason to jump any longer. That's it.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it, Joshua. I appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh. As always, I love your work.
Thank you.
Well done. Our next poet this evening is Joshua Gross. Joshua is a junior at Binghamton University studying English, creative writing, and education. After taking a poetry class last semester, he found love for the form and has written a lot of poems in his free time. Outside of writing, he loves to make art, read, listen to music, watch movies, hike, and spend time with the family, my girlfriend, and my friends, who always support my creative endeavors. I hope to continue writing for many years to come, and I'm very excited for this opportunity. Welcome, Joshua.
Hello, it's great to be here. Like I said, I'm very thankful for this opportunity. I don't have quite as much to say as Joshua, but I guess I'll just kind of jump right in. So this first poem is actually from my poetry class last semester, from an exercise where I had to write one poem that's 10 lines in one sentence. So I actually grew up in Hyde Park, New York. There's this mansion there called Vanderbilt Mansion of the Vanderbilt family, who were, very big in around the turn of a century. But it's open to the public now. It's got a lot of beautiful gardens and nature and everything. So this one is called On the Grounds of the Vanderbilt Mansion. The wistful willows wait in patient vanity to stretch their branches to a mutinous sky that refuses the gift of their abundant greenery amongst weightless tufts of ocean tears, telling the tree that the ground needs them more, turning their strings of leaves downward into a shady brook or a pasture desperate for darkness, and the sweet leviathan hides its strength with freshly budded sorrow. So that one was just a little ode to the willow tree, one of my favorites. I always love seeing those. They're so unique. And there's a great big one on the grounds there that I've been going to for years. Just reminds me of home. The next one is kind of my testament to my pandemic brain blocks and anxieties as I've been dealing with school. A lot of hours I spent at my desk doing much of nothing, it seems like, as I'm sure a lot of other people are in the same habit of. So this one is called Maybe Today or Tomorrow. Barobarous hours swallow their tails, and so on and so on. Sitting at my desk, pining for pines, to which my window is my only respite, a rumored promise that patiently satiates my gaze, glazed over by blue light. My eyes are unfortunate chameleons, absorbing the azure hue. At least my screensaver has blue skies. Rainbows refract through the gilded glass. Their dances on the wall invite me to stretch my legs, to break free from that godforsaken chair that's beyond broken for heaven's sake. Can't fall behind, I say to walls that know my words before they move from thought to tongue. Just one more page, check one more box, just get one more done. At least my screensaver has blue skies. The sun is falling now, the horizon waiting for its warm embrace as winds chill the world, warping its shadows into inevitable night. Panic now, another day down the drain, thrown to the dogs, and the bacterial blue light still shines its infectious beams into a mind too distracted to even acknowledge the knowledge inscribed on screen. At least my screensaver has blue skies. So again, that one is just a little bit of a testament to my anxieties and the insurmountable workload that it seems has piled on since I've been working at home and not really leaving my room all that much. This next one, I actually lost my grandfather this year. So one of his favorite things to say to my dad when he was growing up, when he would ask what was for dinner, he would love to say banana cream pie. So I wanted to do a little kind of testament to him as well with this next poem titled Banana Cream Pie. I recently unearthed the notion that what is forgotten and what is remembered is heard before a widow's urn, formed by hands steeped in the loving presumption of finality, filled with either ashes or the essence of life, depending on who you ask and whether or not it's a Sunday. What is forgotten, i.e. the way his heart used to beat, his temperament, the names of his grandchildren that grew lost in the rolling mist behind his eyes, is perhaps all that is really remembered because their absence only reminds me more of how much else was already gone. Before curses and shoves became the only way his dying brain allowed him to show his darling starlit spouse how much he still cared. But then again, what is remembered, i.e. the 8 namesakes that fidgeted in their seats as the deacon's mustache went on about marriage stipulations for the ordained, my grandfather's sparkling cars and missing toes, his repertoire of naval photography, his easy confidence and reserved laughter, all was recalled with grace by sons and fathers who take breaths between thoughts to avoid being strangled by tears and that which is impatiently real. I found that unearthing the notion of what is forgotten and what is remembered requires archaeological skill, careful brushes and practiced eyes to distinguish bone from rocks or roots, to discern the stuff of frozen museums and family photo books from what will be set on a mantle behind an urn filled with ash and banana cream pie. So that was just something he had like dementia towards the end. He got in an accident a few years ago that caused a brain bleed, and it was hard to see him go, but it had been a long time coming. So it was, this poem was just kind of my way of coping with the loss, and just kind of putting my thoughts into words. Sometimes I found that poetry is the best form for me to do that. And I have one more poem here on a little bit of a happier note. So again, one of my favorite hobbies is hiking and going outside. And it's been my my release from being inside during this pandemic. So me and my girlfriend enjoyed some time on Windham Mountain in upstate New York, only about an hour away from where I live. And this one's just kind of about our day that we spent there. It's called On Windham. You told me applesauce made you miss the ocean as we made a home high above the trees, ablaze with seasonal fire. The grass below our beaten feet held secrets of the cloudy morning, mixed in with the illegal ashes that settled between each yellowing blade. You dressed in all green and almost untimely camouflage as the oaks began dropping their sleeping flames to the earth, and we speculated on the scars of myrtle-hued pines that rippled infectiously through the beautiful violence of the mountainside. We watched as a sea of clouds from our world beneath the sky brought cool gray over the dying leaves, who filled themselves with the colors of warmth before their transient drift to the forest floor, ordained to shroud over their decomposed antecedent reflections. You said it was the best view you'd ever seen. Our laughs filled the woods that belonged to only us and a woodpecker, and each time I tripped on a jealous root, my side-eyed glance found a look of concern on your moony face, same as the first time your verdant irises kissed mine. I ate up the applesauce ocean anyway. It didn't taste like briny tears, more like the sweetness of your bedside candles, the one with the sense of desserts that made you think of holidays that didn't change like the maples of autumn. Our nose hairs now shake hands with the smell of warm pine needles and sun-dried mud, and we marvel at how much easier it was going uphill than down, still laughing as the woodpecker follows us down the road where summer's death and winter's life dance on my windshield. That's all I got for you guys. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm kind of just first getting my chops in here with poetry.
That was wonderful, Joshua. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You sort of touched on something, and I'm going to ask for the more extensive thoughts on how did you arrive at poetry for expressing your world? How does that become the art that you pursue?
Right. That's a great question. It's funny. I declared my English major my sophomore year, and I decided to do creative writing with that because I've always loved writing. But I have never been one for poetry, or at least I had never been one for poetry. But I took an intermediate poetry workshop class. I was thinking of taking fiction, but I ended up settling on that. And it was great. I mean, I think I found something in poetry that I had been looking for that I didn't realize I was looking for in all my writing. I'm very detail focused, I think. I love kind of figuring language in kind of a more rhetorical way to express my own thoughts in a way that maybe is true to myself, but also makes me, think about what I'm thinking in different ways. So I think that poetry is just a really good vessel for me to play around with language and find art in spoken word or written word that doesn't seem to find itself in my other writing.
Excellent. Cool. Thank you very much.
Our next poet this evening is Merrill Douglas. Merrill is the author of the poetry chapbook, Parking Meters into Mermaids, 2020 Finishing Line Press. Her work has also appeared in Baltimore Review, Barrow Street, Tar River Poetry, Stone Canoe, Cimarron Review, Patterson Literary Review, and Comstock Review, among other journals. She earned a BA from Sarah Lawrence College and an MA in English from Binghamton University. She lives in Vestal, where she runs a freelance writing business. Welcome, Merrill.
Thank you, Connie, and thank you, Barrett. And I would first of all like to mention that chapbook that Connie mentioned is available for sale both at the Broome County Arts Council's Artisan Gallery and at the Bundy Museum. I'm sorry my face can't be here with the rest of you. I've been having some technical difficulties, but I hope everyone can hear me well. I'm going to read 4 poems. The first one is called Bereft. I lost the silver pendant Malka gave me when I was 8. Lost my grandmother's spoon and great-grandfather's teapot and cracked Jane's Japanese cup. I lost John Cohen entirely. 8th grade teacher, sideburns, blue eyes, name so common Google shrugs. Mrs. B's print cotton robe, a Christmas gift, I cut for dust cloths. Anne's peasant blouse I've worn down to patches and threads. Now Anne's gone. Monkey's albums, Guide to the World's Fair, vanished. Also the 10 or so chords I learned on guitar. I dropped more Yiddish year by year, and I must have misplaced my father, my cat, the white dress, the infant I nursed, the sticky toddler. How many years till a swollen river swallows the shoebox of mail, the photos, cassette tapes, thumb drives, and leaches the ink from my 26 journals, every loop and dot of this life sipped off like so much vodka. This next poem, somebody who commented on it recently referred to it as a pandemic poem. I hadn't actually thought of it that way, but I can see where somebody might see that in it. It's called You Get Used to It. The way you get used to the woman in uniform rummaging your bag. The way you adjust to roses with no scent, tomatoes like blown-up pool floats. The way it feels normal to stuff desire in one pocket, compassion in the other. The way you applaud smoggy sunsets and love how fast your blood pumps when you snark at jerks on Facebook. How cursing at robocalls makes sense. How public shootings blur with the more intimate asphyxiations. The way you've stopped hearing the chirp, chirp, chirp of the future in its wire cage. Poor fluffed thing with its millet spray and a cuttlefish bone to gnaw. how it can't stop plucking its feathers. In that first poem I read, I mentioned my grandmother's spoon that I had lost. This poem is about that spoon. It's called Fountain Blue. That refers to a large, not-in-my-budget hotel in Miami Beach. Fountain Blue. I say she stole it. How else would a silver plate teaspoon stamped with the crest of a world-famous five-star hotel turn up in the box of plain flatware my grandmother left in our crawl space? She took a small apartment in Miami Beach each winter for years, so it makes sense. Maybe she went to some banquet, Hadassah or National Council, with prime rib and green beans, a congressman giving the keynote. She'd have worn a knit pantsuit and diamond earrings and sat with her best friend Gussie. And maybe towards 9, while her decaf with non-dairy creamer grew cold, and the chairwoman wrapped up her thank yous, what if the union seamstress who still drove the needle through thick wool coats some nights in my grandmother's gut hissed something sharp and short? And what if she stretched her palm to smooth the cloth by her plate, and the first cool, lustrous thing it touched fell into her handbag, along with the usual couple of packets of Sweet and Low? The last poem I'm going to read had its genesis in the Weiss supermarket on Reno Boulevard in Vestal, and also in a line from the Walt Whitman poem Song of the Open Road. The line is, I think I could stop here myself and do miracles. This is called Even Here. Even here, among wrapped bricks of Munster and cheddar, as I step past a wall of blue soup cans that alter to the salt-infused consolations, walk past foam trays crowded with drumsticks and pork chops, past tubs of non-dairy topping, even here I could pinch together thumb and index finger to tweeze unending filaments of joy from the air, one strand of ribbon candy following another, watermelon, tangerine, mint. Even now, as I swing the stuffed cloth bags from counter to cart, and young Tanya hands me a receipt so long I wind it around and around my thumb to fit in my wallet. And now when I halt my cart beside tiers of iced cupcakes and transparent clamshells of croissants to drop wallet and backpack, re-zip, set strap on shoulder, and roll toward a sundae the color of batting revealed through the rents in an old comforter, couldn't I stop here and do miracles until those electric doors fling wide their arms to receive me? Thank you.
Thank you, Meryl. That's wonderful. And one of the things I observe about your work is an incredible precision and attention to detail, small detail that sets the scenery for us. You know, all of the little bits, the cashier's name and wrapping the receipt around your finger. Are you aware in your writing of that sense of wanting to describe detail?
I am, I think, because I respond to that very much in poems that I read. Those are always the kinds of poems I've been drawn to, poems that are just full of the stuff of the world.
Oh, then it becomes sort of the next question it begs is, how do we look at the world and say, I want these details and I don't want those?
Interesting.
Where is the choosing?
I think there's a lot of trial and error, putting things in and taking them out and moving them around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then seeing what resonates.
Yeah, that's right there. You nailed it beautifully. Seeing what resonates. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Meryl. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meryl. Beautiful work.
Thank
Our
you.
final poet tonight is Robert Ruan. Ruane.
Ruane's good, yeah.
Ruane's good. Bob is a 59-year-old freelance writer with 3 self-published books. He's been writing poetry for over 30 years. He took many creative writing courses and has facilitated writing groups. He's also been a member of several writing and poetry groups since the 1990s. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Connie. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, Connie and Barrett. My poems have a theme this time. I just moved out of the area, and I'm going to miss a lot of the restaurants and taverns I went to. And this first poem I wrote about 7 years ago, a diner near downtown Binghamton called Rolando's, which sadly closed right after the pandemic began and sadly never reopened. Late winter lunch day at Rolando's. The post-church Wednesday crowd has swarmed into Rolando's. Someone wants grilled haddock with tartar sauce. Patty, my server, wanted to refill my coffee but got so busy. The lunch crowd keeps coming in. 2 more fried haddocks are ordered. I see lettuce salad being prepared. I enjoyed my own sandwich and polished it off quickly. A fish is now sizzling on the grill. Michelle wants another tartar sauce. I thought the clouds were breaking up, but the sun must have hit a greater Binghamton brick wall outside. There are even more people now than when I arrived at 12:15. Waitresses have gone through pages and pages of their pads. My neighbor, 2 stools to my left, has just been served his fish and mashed potatoes. Only his is with gravy, mine were sans gravy. The waitress is looking for more fried haddock. Some bacon has been waiting in limbo. Someone may have realized it was Ash Wednesday and therefore no meat allowed, so the bacon was nixed. Some of the regular lunch crowd is on the way out. Someone now wants a chicken parm and spaghetti. They must be non-Catholic. Michelle is looking for a side of mac and cheese. She has a single mac but needs a home fry. She then checks to see if someone wants another coffee. She now wants a cheese omelet and home fries. One cook has ribbed another, calling him a quote-unquote old man. I see a yellow blob on the grill that looks like an egg about to be scrambled. The cook wonders whether the chicken comes with no pepper or onions. Some spaghetti has materialized piping hot. Also, an order of fries is tipped at an 80-degree angle, or is it 100 degrees? It looks obtuse angle to me. I don't need food. Are you kidding me? I need all the food, says an ultra-busy Michelle, dying for a lunch break. Now there is the lull, and the grill is being cleared off. Patty wants a bacon cheeseburger with some corn. I am getting ready to head out into the stale, cold air. And now my next poem is one that I wanted very much for the bartender to like, and she ended up liking it. So as reason I'm reading it, because I would give a copy of this just a week later to her. It's called A Tuesday Evening at Kelly's Bar. It was in West Endicott. I've just ordered an iced tea and fish and chips at Kelly's. Here where I sit, the bar top has a sandpaper feel to it. It is subdued late afternoon sort of crowd. Some women across the way have decided to start a lively discussion on parenting. I see a bottle of orange stuff on the bar. It says something like 3 olives on a shiny navy blue label. Some ladies are singing happy birthday to someone named Teresa. I just heard, and many more. 2 guys my age, a few seats away from me, are talking about a sales associate friend of theirs, saying he's a nice guy, but not a good salesperson. Meanwhile, Casey, the bartender, wonders where her coworker Marcella is as a call to her house goes unanswered. Something must have come up. Quick draw lottery is being ignored while the sports channel gets only cursory glances. A guy to my immediate right just asks for a margarita and extra crispy hot wings. He laments that there's only regular Cuervo, but not Cuervo 1800. Casey delivers the margarita which the guy takes a big sip from. The topic of conversation of these guys to his right has shifted from sales to politics because I just heard the president's name mentioned. A cell phone conversation has derailed the political discussion between those two, however. I see cherry liqueur just about the orange tree olive stuff. Casey asks my margarita neighbor if he had a rough day playing with dogs. He may be a veterinarian, a dog warden, or a worker at a dog shelter. He is now on a cell phone. The birthday crew continues to hang out. I just told Casey about my new poem and she gave me thumbs up. I gaze at the rich visual palette, rows of mugs on glass displays, football helmets mounted on the wall, and much more. Below our 3 olive orangutan, there is a transparent liquor. Smith's or is it Smirnoff? Quick draw remains undrawn. Casey talks dogs with the dog man to my right. As I gaze at the motley assortment of customers, I see a red triplets shirt. There is some unknown rock tune in the background. Underneath the Smirnoff, there is a bluish tinted bottle with a label beginning with pin. Is it Pinnacle, Pinners, or simply Pins? And one step below them are the lowly Bud and Bush beer cans. Dog man's wings and celery arrive. I can smell the pungency of the hotness from here before he shunts it to his right. The guys to his right resume their chat, now about cars. Dog man gets the second margarita. He is being Jimmy Buffetted. One guy on the corner is named Phil. His son has just dubbed him Bet Nail Phil. They are now having an interesting chat on nails and lumber. The nails in question are tough to get out. They must have been hammered to a scratchy pulp. The birthday woman, near my age, has just left. Reading the paper, I discovered, to my delight, that the Mets had won yesterday behind Jacob deGrom. Casey resumes a dog chat with Dogman. He tells her that a new arrival has to acclimate to the other dogs. He must be a dog shelter worker. The man on the corner just dumped a beer, but Dogman expressed relief that the beer blob did not reach his food. Self-consciously, the beer dumper wipes it up. Reminds me when I accidentally spilled a beer at Legends 2 decades before. Customer passing by says, "Happy birthday" to whoever it is. Next to a red bee, I see a stack of beer cups, but no sign of red Solo cups. When I order my second iced tea, I end up polishing off Kelly's iced tea jug, and Casey tosses it. Dogman asks her, "Do I have to eat all of these?" as his appetite wanes. Casey says goodbye to a lady named Jan. The salesman, the Bet Nail guy, is saying he's a cross between Irish and German. I take a sip of my new iced tea. 2 35-ish young women have shown up. One male bartender has materialized and asked the 2 women if they want to do shots. Casey mentions a Robin and a Tony. I wonder if it is my friend Robin from the 90s, only a 1 in 100 chance. As I pay up and get ready to head out, the 2 bartenders engage in some good-natured ribbing. I bid Casey farewell and head out into the seasonably mild mid-April air. I wrote that one about 6 years ago. Most of these I wrote in the mid-2010s, and this next one I wrote just a few months later, pretty much the opposite time of year as now. Yeah, Skylark Diner, I was one of the last places I visited before I left the area last week. This is called Friday Afternoon at the Skylark Diner. I am sitting up at the bar for a change. People sitting up here are subdued. I drive them all crazy, says Bonnie, the blonde-haired server. The doors are swinging a lot. Between Bonnie, the brown-haired ponytail waitress, and the one with the blonde ponytail, there is a chocolate cake with maple-colored icing parked directly in front of me, but it's off limits for now because I just ordered some cod strips. A few people are chatting at booths nearby. I decide to take off my jacket to show off my Notre Dame sweatshirt. My server is a quiet 60-ish woman with brown hair. Linda, another server, is typing away on the cash register to my left. Uh-oh, small group of teenagers just arrived. I move over one stool because I see a crowd waiting to be seated. My lunch has arrived. Those doors likely have squeaked hundreds of thousands of times through the years, with the left door an earthy brown and the right door brown with tints of hardwood yellow. I see a pink Tracy's Hope ribbon on the fridge directly in front of me, as well as a mini calendar with a 1960s look. The crowds in here are large, teens, seniors, and people in between like me. All the teenage boys are lined up at the cash register across the way. Linda pours the coffee for one of the senior men on the other side of the bar. Bonnie walks by with a long stack of cups. It is so busy that my server thought she had given someone a coffee but hadn't. So goes a busy day. I believe one server is named Sharon because I heard my server say, "I'll be right there, Sharon." Linda's waiting on a senior guy with a husky, gravelly voice. I now have a good look at one server's hair. The lady to my right has a Vestal Elk sweatshirt and just ordered 2 slices of the chocolate cake to go. She's already on her way out. I'm tempted to have a slice of the cake, but I have to lose some pounds. I thought I heard my name, but it may be another guy, also named Bob. The crowd is thinning out. The blue cups kitty corner from me have a pleasant cobalt look to them, like clear sky clouds. The juice dispenser near me has orange juice, cranberry juice cocktail, and apple juice in a row. The Lipton iced tea dispenser next to it and soda is to its right. I mentioned the recent change to chilly weather from August to November in a few days, and Linda said she was thinking the same thing. Waitress with the blonde ponytail deplored the lack of respect, apparently from a customer. To my left, I see a pumpkin on top of a stove. It is atop a tea water dispenser. My server said to the guys behind me, "He never showed." They must have been scheduled to be a threesome business meeting, not merely 2 of them. One guy near me looks like a former boss of mine. As my server pours some lemonade for someone, Linda's taking a call for a takeout meal. A ceramic piece with the word diner is perched atop the cup and baked goods cupboard. Booths don't stay empty for long around here. One man, Mr. Skylark, I presume, pours himself a soda. The aqua-color stools and the padded booth seats give off a peaceful aura, counteracting the leaden sky outdoors. The banter on the left side stools continues. One guy mentions a coincidence and opportunity knocking. My server greets a new arrival and compliments his ring, saying that she had never noticed it before. I settled up with my server, a congenial person, and head out into the chilly early fall air.
Yeah, that's great. Barrett has a few questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something. Do you find a particular draw in the bars and restaurants as a place to write about?
Well, I think because they're homey and I've been familiar with them for a long time, I find it easy to write there.
Oh, okay. And again, we're getting back much like what we were talking about with Merrill. You give us a vast array of detail of conversations and names and places and things to create the story that is your poems. Is there anything in particular that goes with that? What is the intention, I guess, is the question.
Well, I kind of liked the woman who worked there back in 2015 named Linda, I met her in 2009, and I've known her about 12 years, and the effect I had on her was nothing. It might as well be 1997, 12 years before I met her.
Okay, then. All right, then, Robert. Thank you very much. I want to wish you much luck and happiness in your new location.
Thank you.
I didn't know you had moved until we organized this, and I was informed that you were no longer here.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm hoping it'll probably take me a long time, but I'm hoping to get to know some fellow poets in this area because I like to learn from other poets.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well,
But it might take much of this decade.
Thank you so much, Robert.
You're welcome, Connie.
Thank you
And
all
Barrett.
for your wonderful readings tonight. Thank you for sharing your gifts of poetry. Next week, we'll hear from poet Craig Jury, Neil Silverblatt, and Richard Bernstein. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you all for your words and your time.
Thank you very much.